Hi everybody, Mr. Wyatt here, and today we're going to discuss how to graph ordered pairs on a coordinate plane. Now you'll notice today I am not wearing a tie. It's not that I don't care about you guys because I really think very highly of all of you, but this is what we call Casual Friday. You'll learn about that when you're in the workforce too. So anyway, how do we graph in the coordinate plane? What does it mean? How does it work? All right. Well, first of all, you can see there are two lines here that are intersecting. We have one that's horizontal here and one that's vertical here. And it splits this whole region here into four distinct areas or places. These arrows indicate that it goes on forever too, so it isn't limited just to this space right here that you see with the grid. It goes on forever in all directions, okay? So it just gives us a way to be able to locate points within this region. All right, so those four areas, those are called quadrants. And right here we have quadrant one in the top right corner. Okay, quad means four, and you can see we have four different distinct regions here that are formed. Quadrant one, you'll also notice that all the numbers here for the quadrants are given with Roman numerals. So here's the Roman numeral for one. This is quadrant one. This is the main quadrant that we will be in as sixth graders. Okay, we're going to learn about all four quadrants today, but quadrant one is the main one that we discuss as sixth graders because everything over here is positives, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit. Okay, now which would be quadrant two, this one here or this one here? I wonder which direction we'll go. Well, we always move in the counterclockwise direction when identifying the quadrants. So quadrant two then would be over here in the top left corner. Continuing around in a counterclockwise direction, here's quadrant three, and over here is quadrant four. And again, you can see we have the Roman numerals used for one, two, three, and four here. Okay, so we always want to know what quadrant we're in, one, two, three, or four. Now, the X and the Y axis here, they intersect at what's called the origin. It's called the origin because that's where we always begin. The origins of something are where they begin. We always start right here in the middle where these two lines intersect. And the origin is located at point 0, 0. We're going to talk more about that and what those points mean. We've discussed that in the last couple of days as well too when we were graphing those linear equations. Um, but that's your origin. It's located at point 0, 0. Okay, so this horizontal axis is your x-axis, and the vertical axis here is your y-axis. And that's important for you to know as well. All right, now when you're starting at the origin, if you move to the right on the x-axis, you're moving in the positive direction. If you move to the left of the origin, you're moving in the negative direction on the x-axis. On the y-axis, everything up is your positive direction, and everything down is your negative direction. So that's how we'll be able to identify where points are located, is we can indicate its direction from the origin by using plus or minus signs. Okay, we're moving in the positive or in the negative direction. All right, so again, to locate points anywhere on this coordinate plane, we use what's called an ordered pair. The first number is your x coordinate. The second number is your y coordinate. If any of you have ever played the board game Battleship, you have some idea of, of how you are using a coordinate plane there in order to try to identify where the missiles are going to hit the ships on the game board. Okay? C5, you sank my battleship. Kind of like that, only we have numbers in both directions instead of having letters for the X and numbers for the Y. It's going to be numbers for both. All right, so let's talk about the point 2, 3, the ordered pair 2, 3. 2 is your X coordinate, 3 is your Y coordinate. So we start at the origin means beginnings, and we move 2 spaces on the X axis. It's positive 2, so we move to the right, which is the positive direction, 2 spaces. All right, so 1, 2. And then the Y value is 3, so we go up 1, 2, 3. And right here is where we should have the point 2, 3. Okay? Now, if you have the point 2, -3, then from the origin, you're going to move 2 spaces to the right, but then your y value is -3, so you go down 3 because you go down, that's in the negative direction. And we'll end up with 2, -3 right here. From the origin, we're 2 to the right, and then we're down 3. The x is 2 to the right because it's +2. The y is down 3 because it's -3. All right? So the point -2, 3, now our x coordinate is -2. So from the origin, we go 2 to the left, and then our y coordinate is +3, so we go up 3, and that's where -2, 3 is located. It's in quadrant 2. If you have the point -2, -3, notice both the x and the y coordinates are negatives. So we'll have to go left and then we'll go down. We're going left 2, down 3, and there's -2, -3 down there in the quadrant 3. Okay, and then what if we have a point like 2, 0 though? 2, 0 isn't going to be in a quadrant because the y value is 0. What this means is we're going to move 2 spaces for our x coordinate. We're going to go 2 spaces to the right of the origin. But then our y value is a 0, so now I don't get to go up or down. We're going to be right here on the x-axis. So 2, 0 is located right there on the x-axis. If you have the point 0, -5, now your x value is a 0, so you're not going to go left or right on the x-axis. You're staying at the origin. And then the y value is 5, so you'll go up 5 spaces, and boom, that's where it would be located. All right, what if we have -3, 0? Well, our first value, the x, tells us -3, we go to the left. You can almost think of that negative sign as being like it's indicating to you, hey, you're going to go left now. It's pointing kind of to the left here. So we're going to go left 3 spaces and then 0 up or down. And so it is located right there on the x-axis. And one more here, 0, -3. Now your x is 0, so you're not going right or left. But for your y, you're going down 3. Down is in the negative direction. You'd be right there on the y-axis at 0, -3. Okay, your teachers can pause it at this point so you can look more closely at these points and see how they are matching with the ordered pairs here and where they're located here in the coordinate plane. Once you have that down, we'll go ahead and continue on. All right, so I'm going to move myself here out of the way. And you can see we have a bunch of ordered pairs here. Notice ordered pairs are always in parentheses. Please always put them in parentheses. Let's identify which of these points is at each of these ordered pairs. I have -2, 5 here. Where is -2, 5? Well, we start at the origin. Our first number, the x, remember your first number is your x value. The second is your y value. This is your x-axis here. This is your y-axis here. Okay, we have -2, 5. So our x is -2. So on the x-axis, I'm starting at the origin. I go 2 in the left direction. 1, 2. And then my y value is +5. So now I go up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And point D is located right there. Okay. Now again, just as a reminder, on the x-axis, anything to the right of the origin is in the positive direction. To the left of the origin is in the negative direction. For your y-coordinate, your second number, up is positive, and down is negative. Okay? So the positives and the negatives are just telling you what direction you need to move in relation to the origin. So -2, 5, starting at the origin, we went 2 left, and then we go up 5, and there's D. Now, where is or what is at 2, 5? These are both positives. So starting here, my x is 2, 1, 2, in the positive direction, and my y is 5. That means I go up 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's point B. Okay? 0, 3. Now my first coordinate is a 0, so that means I don't get to go right or left. My y coordinate is 3, so I go up 3, and there's point F. How about 7, negative 1? Well, starting at the origin, if I go 7 spaces, I have to go to the right because it's a positive 7. I'm moving in the positive direction on my x-axis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then negative 1 means down 1, and there's E. The more you do these, the quicker and easier they get, by the way. Back up here, 2, negative 5. My first coordinate, the x-coordinate, is positive, so I'm moving right. So I go 1, 2. My y-coordinate is negative 5, so I go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I have a C there, point C. Negative 2, negative 5, my next point. Both numbers are negatives. When that happens, it's going to end up being in quadrant 3 over here. We go 2 to the left, we go 5 down. So 1, 2 to the left, and then down 5, and we have an A there. Next, we have negative 3, 0. My x-coordinate, negative 3, means I go left 3, and then my y-coordinate is 0, so I don't go up or down. So left 3 from the origin, 1, 2, 3, then 0 up or down. Oh, it's H. My graph is a little bit off here. See how that point doesn't look like it's right on the x-axis? Looks like it's slightly below it. That's my error. I could have been a little bit neater when I made this. All right, 0, negative 6. Now my first coordinate, the x-coordinate, is 0, so I don't get to go right or left on my x-axis. I have to stay at the origin. But since my y value is negative 6, I then have to count down 6 spaces, and G is located at that point. Okay? All right, now one more page here. Now I have a bunch of points, point J, point K, L, M, N, P, Q, R, and I want to write the ordered pair for each of these points here. Okay, now remember, ordered pairs always need to be in parentheses. And we always have our x-coordinate followed by our y-coordinate. Remember, this is your x-axis. This is your y-axis. Anything to the right is positive. Anything to the left is negative. Anything up is positive. Anything down is negative. All right, so point J, here's point J right here. And let's see where it is located. If it helps you out, in my particular coordinate plane here, the blue grid is going 10 in each direction. So that might help you. Point G is like 1 from the end here, so it's actually 9. I can count it out too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in the negative direction. So I have negative 9 for my x coordinate. And then my y coordinate is 0 because I'm not going up or down. And then I put it in parentheses. Ordered pairs are always in parentheses. Point J is located at negative 9, 0. All right, let's look at point L. Let's find it. Here it is. Here's point L. That's close to the origin. Starting at the origin, how do I get to point L? We have to travel along the grid lines. For my x-coordinate, I go right 1, which is positive 1, and then down 1 for my y-coordinate, which is negative 1. So it looks like I have to go 1 to the right, negative 1, down 1 for my y value. X is 1, y is negative 1. There's where L is located. I'll do maybe 1 or 2 more, and then if your teacher wants to go through the rest of these, they can do that. Point N, I'll find point N. Here's point N. Starting at the origin, how do I get to point N? Well, I start with my x's. I go left 1, so negative 1, and then up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and up is 8, is positive. It's positive 8, so I have negative 1, 8 for my N. Oops, negative 1, 8. Negative 1, 8 is where N is located. All right, I'm about out of time, so I'm going to leave this in the hands of your teacher if they want to do the other points, Q, K, M, P, and R. But that's how we graph on a coordinate plane. Have a nice day, everybody.